Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, our folks there in viewer land and cyberspace. We want to welcome you to another edition of my Lutheran Connections. Um, Today, we are going to be looking at a reflection of the 2022 LCL Bishopric elections. And we have today with us our Reverend, the Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay, a pastor of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, and he also contested uh, with, but with us today, we have on set our brother Jerry Tablo, our ambassador. He's there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and also our brother Josiah F. Jokai. He's there in Connecticut, and we are glad to have back with us our brother Abel Lewelly. Today, before going to our main studio there in um, Connecticut, we just want to inform all of our Liberian Lutherans that we are starting on a very sad note. Before getting coming on live, we got news that the Lutheran Youth Fellowship, the National Lutheran Youth Fellowship, lost one of her hardworking brothers. And from the team here at My Lutheran Connections, we want to say to the family, have our deepest condolences. But with that, we're going to go straight over to our studio there in Connecticut with our brother Josiah Jokai. He's going to set the stage and we are going to keep rolling. Again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Willie. Welcome, Reverend Zayzay. Welcome, Abel. I just want us to observe a moment of silence for the falling, brother. So I want us to observe that now just for a minute. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay, Senior. Am I correct about that, sir? Hello, Reverend, can you hear me? Okay, we have Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay Senior on today. He's our... Yes, I just said Mulbah F. Zayzay Senior. Am I right about the senior to your name, sir? Okay, so we have Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay on. He is a pastor of the Lutheran Church.
Mulbah F. Zayzay.
Mulbah F. Zayzay. Okay, correct. Thank you for the correction. Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay on. He's one of the pastors of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, one of our illustrious shepherds who's taking care of God's flocks. So we are so glad to have you, Reverend. First, we really wish, we had the opportunity to sit with you and converse with you prior or during the election, before today. But it's said better late than never. So it's really good to have you on today to discuss the post-reflection election, the bishopric election, that is. So, Reverend, you organized a powerful campaign, a strong campaign team. You ran an effective and successful campaign, like all the other candidates. You went through the steps and procedures, and you got qualified. We know how tough that can be. I was once a candidate before, I contested the seat of one of the districts in Montserrat, so I know the process of getting qualified, going through all the rigors, So we like to congratulate you for that. You also made a historic move during the election. You backed off of the runoff election, and we thought that was historic. You received a lot of commendations, from brethren in the LCL as a heroic move. And here at My Lutheran Connection TV, we also want to add our voices to say congratulations for making such move. That was very pivotal in ensuring that the election was successful. So we're going to be looking at all of these things that you went through your experience as a candidate, just as your colleagues, and we think it's also an opportunity by the fact that you took the chance to appear on the show. First, your colleagues will also follow suit because we intend to have a series to bring on all of the other candidates, including the bishop elite. I'm sure Willie has already reached out to the bishop elect, but he will talk about that during the course of the discussion. So we are very glad to have you, sir. To begin with, let me ask you this general question. How satisfied are you about the overall conduct of the election? Reverend, I'm sure you are muted. Okay, so Willie, before Reverend Zayzay can come on, Willie, can you just start telling us about the invitation that we extended to the bishop elect?
Joe, I think
Yes.
the Reverend is on mute. I see that his microphone is on mute, so we have to ask him to unmute his microphone.
So,
Yeah.
Abel or Willie, can you please unmute, because I'm sure you have that right. Unmute
Okay.
the Reverend.
Yeah, I just sent him the signal to unmute himself. I think he's having a little bit of network challenge. So um, we will while we are with him to come back on. You asked a question about the series that we're going to be having for this month, the month of May. Um, and so far, we've reached out to all of the contestants, all of our pastors who contested in the just in the elections, including the bishop elect. Okay, go ahead, Reverend.
Hello, am I
Yes,
clear?
yes, you
Yes.
are clear now. Yeah, maybe if you just don't
So
mute
will it,
yourself, that would be better.
so maybe Joker could Joe. Oh, okay, okay. I thought about muting when others are talking. We'll further get clarity. Okay, Joe, can you repeat your question, please?
Right, Remy, I started by congratulating you for taking the chance to appear on the show. And I said we really wish you had come, earlier, prior to the election, for us to discuss the pre-election activities and then the election activities. But it is often said that better late than never. So we are very happy to have you. And we know that your colleague will follow suit, because we are going to have a series, meaning that we will be bringing the other candidates on, one after the other, just as we are hosting you today. We also talk about, you organizing a strong campaign team, running an effective and successful campaign, getting qualified, and contesting the election, and also qualifying yourself for the runoff, even though you back off of the runoff. But we thought that was heroic, and that was pivotal in ensuring that the election was held successfully. So the question that I have to ask you is, how satisfied are you? What is the measure of your satisfaction of the just ended bishopric election? I think Remy is having some technical issues.
Yeah, I see
All
that
right.
his.
Thank you. You can hear me now. You all can hear me clear?
Yes, very clearly.
Yes.
Okay, well, let me there. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so let me first begin by again commending you for the invite you extended to me. My first lady and I are very grateful for this invite. including members of our friends who stood with us to say, yes, we want to lift their hands up, that you may want to call team members. They are grateful for the invite. We're grateful that we're here to interact with you with respect to post-election reflection, which we believe is an opportunity to compare notes based on our experiences we have in a relatively short time. So to quantify my satisfaction of the entire process, I would say around 85%. Just in response to your question, I would say around 85% of my personal satisfaction of the entire process. That would be my response to that question. Just to quantify in terms of percentage or so, I would say 85%.
Yeah,
of the process.
85%. 85% is not a bad grade. It's B, and that's not bad. But
no, it's not. It's not.
The question is, what happened to the 15%?
Well, you are an expert in election, Joe, and many others who may be following on this platform. Most of the processes, elections, will have its own internal challenges and external challenges. So, just giving you my personal opinion of what I saw, this is in no way to discredit the hard-working efforts of the committee, and even the leadership of our church. But then, they did well. You did well. So that is just my own quantification of the percentage of what I see as the entire process. And I'm absolutely 100% satisfied. That, in fact, is a motivating aspect, driver behind our decision to have led to us making the decision to concede, to have conceded to the process.
Right. Conceding is 100% credited, and like I indicated in the intro, that the church recognizes your decision very highly. But the 15%, I would like for you to talk about it a little bit in terms of some of the specific things that happen that you think account for the 15%. What are some of those things that happen and should have actually happened during the organization and conduct of the elections that are responsible for your 15% satisfaction? And Reverend,
I can just give you one example.
Before you come in, Reverend, I
can just give you one example.
I want our viewers to understand that we are asking the questions because it's post-election reflection. We are supposed to identify issues that we all collectively can be able to address at the end of the day so that we improve our election hearing process going forward. So that is why we are digging into some of these things. Yeah, Reverend, you can go ahead, sir.
Like to mention about the 15%, you in the process, if you ever saw the ballot paper, which I believe we all saw the ballot paper, my name was misspelled. Yeah. I will raise an issue on that, and I will gone several days or hours to get that done. Because this is our church. And for us as human beings, we are people who are liable to making mistakes. And all of the members on that committee, none of them will tell you they don't know my name. But that became a printing issue. So those are just some of the things, that I would want to attribute to the 15%. But I must tell you, the guys did well. The team, Flomoya team, they did an incredible job, great job. I know I may not have all of the details surrounding some of their work, but like we all know, our church, most of these activities on committee or board, they are practically free. They exhaust your time and energy, but it's actually free. So to have the people up there prior to moving to Banga, they were. I mean, it was practically the chairman and the committee were practically. In fact, I understand the central administration even had to give them office space. So it practically became a full-time job for them in the last 6 months, even before moving to Banga. They was, but so they did a good job. They did a good job, and that's a result that we all witnessed, that we all saw, and we're grateful for.
Thank you. I don't want to be fast to ask you about recommendations in terms of what to do to improve the future elections. Probably some of my colleagues still have questions about the organization and conduct of the election, so we'd like to go to Jerry for now, the ambassador there in Freetown. Jerry.
Thank you, Joe, and again, welcome, Reverend. So for me, I would just like to ask 2 pointed questions. The first question I want to put to you, given everything that happened, and you're talking about 15% lacuna in the entire process, do you think there is a need for some reform in our constitution, for example?
All right.
It Jerry,
seems as though I think I need to share.
Is that specific?
Oh, Jerry is not finished yet.
You're asking the
it is. Yeah, it is specific to election, but generically looking at other issues, but specifically to the election.
Yeah.
I mean, then based on the question, my second question
is generic, but it's specific to election. Yeah, I like that. Right. Well, if most of you are on the ground here, like Abel will be on the ground, if you ever had the opportunity to read all 5 of us initial platforms, you realize that all of us have a lot of things in common. Of course, Joe, when you were doing the mediation between me and Goba, you realize that some of the things we talk about was more similar. Yeah, so in our platform, that's one of the key strategy we highlighted as a way of sustaining most of the development agenda we have. Because if you don't have a good law to protect what you're going to do, your decision, your policy, it's going to be a waste. So there's need for constitutional review, right? So there's need. So that issue is we're already discussing it in the corridors of our Lutheran community. So that is obvious, and I'm sure that our Bishop Eli is going to be looking in that direction very strongly too. Yeah, so I think, Jerry, I think strongly that's something that we need to consider as a church. Right. And I'm not a constitutional expert, but what I do know, the expert will tell you that after there's a given period of time that you need to do constitutional review and amendment. And what we have is over 10 years. That means we need to go back to review it, take us something as a new one. Yeah, so yes, Jerry, I believe that that's something I think that we should. Yeah.
Okay. My second question. And now this Josiah is going to be more specific, and we'll look at the specificity of it around you. Yeah, around you, Reverend.
Yes.
We still on the 15% that Joe gave, I mean, in terms of measurement. You agree there's a need for constitutional reform, but with everything that happened, given the misspell of your name, etc., do you think we should still continue to have elections in the church for bishop, or we should have selections? What's your thought?
Well, personally, I must tell you that we as a church, we are a democratic institution. And what I also want to let you know that maybe you already may be aware of, Abraham is aware of that, this GON convention adopted a resolution that will, in our minds, will reduce some of the past pressure we'll be seeing when it comes to election every time. In fact, there's a recommendation from Bishop Report that the pastors should present at least 2 candidates Right. So a lot of work has been given now to us as pastor that we're going to be working around that will reduce some of these past pressures and activity that we'll be seeing around our election every time that have led to a lot of conflicts that we have today in our churches. So yes, there are plans for that. We believe in that strongly, and we advocating for that we can do that, and we hope that our action could be a motivating factor to lead to that.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you just to give summary of what you just said, in an attempt to answer the question, is that the church is democratic, so you go for elections, but there should be a lot of work amongst the pastor to submit at least or at most 2 candidates, and not multiplicity of people that will cause tension, and if possible, it becomes explosive. Is that your conclusion?
So let me give you my summary, Jerry. My summary to what I've said in response to your question is that, yes, I believe that we need to review our constitution to mitigate the conflict that is surrounding elections. I believe that. But that should be something that should be considered by the convention, because our church is a convention church. We believe in the democratic nature, value, and tenets. And I just added an advantage to that is the current resolution that has been passed that is now opting for pastors, the pastoral fellowship, to put for two candidates. Right.
Woody.
Thank you very much, my dear brothers, and welcome again, Reverend. Prior to the
Thank
show,
you, Will. Thank you, Will.
prior to the show, someone did accuse me that I'm not going to ask you hard question because of our relationship, but I will try the best I can. Yeah, so I will try as much as possible.
Why would I say that?
That's okay. The person is watching. I will try as much as possible.
Oh, really?
So, Robbie, from your response to my dear brother, our ambassador there in Freetown Civilian, I heard you mention of mitigating the conflict. So that brings me to one of my questions: that do you think, as an individual, okay, and one of those who contested, that the leaders of various teams did well in propagating messages during the elections time?
Well, I can speak exclusively of my team.
No, so just to clarify, just to make it more specific.
Yeah, but I can speak exclusively of my team.
Your team directly, yes, not the other team, but your team directly.
I can exclusively speak of my team.
Right.
And I want you to know that very clear.
Right.
I don't know what transpired in different camps.
Right.
I don't know what was said. Because our church, like you know, is a multiplicity church where you got diversity of views and characters. People are smiling with you, but you don't know what they have discussed behind you. So I can exclusively speak of my team. That I would say that absolutely God bless me with a mature team. People who love this church. Absolutely. People who love this church. And I can tell you, from our team, we never discuss individuals. We saw every one of us in this race as brothers and sisters. So all of the places we went and we met as contestants or as candidates, we embrace each other, right? And we showcase ourselves to our members that this is who we are. Do not go and discuss this person. Do not go and discuss this person. In fact, at some point in time, we started having phone calls among ourselves as candidate. How are things going? How is this going? Right. So it's difficult for me to assume that other people did well and did not do this. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Thank you very much, Reverend. And I had a second question which you've already answered. Maybe if you want to comment on that just a little bit more, but you've already answered that in the response. That was there any communication? Was there a communication channel open between the
All five
candidates
of us.
who contested? Yes.
Yes. There was a mutual communication between all of us, because I don't know of any of us complained another person that this person gave me cold shoulder or the person said this about me. No, I don't know about that. Yeah, we had a mutual conversation among ourselves in at every space that we met, even on social media. We commented on each other posts and this sort of thing. Yeah, which I believe was a good part on our parts as candidates. Yeah, we are aware of the challenges among our followers. And those of us who knew some of our followers, who were telling them this is the direction to go, this is the direction to go. Right.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Brother Abel.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you for the opportunity for leaving your busy schedule to join us tonight, which we sincerely appreciate.
It's my honor. It's my honor.
Okay.
It's my honor to be here with you guys.
Usually, elections are marked with emotions and tension. Whenever elections are held, we see divides by both those who win and those who lose, both on the winning side and on the losing side. On the losing side, mostly it's about disappointment, it's about frustration. And on the winning side, it's about high expectations. Some of these expectations are unrealistic. Now that the election is over, we now have a new vision. We see all of these challenges of our church. Take, for instance, our health institutions, our school systems, our programs. All of these programs are heavily challenged. And then now we have a new administration. Moving forward, what do you think would be the strategies to kind of reconcile the church, to make the church members to reconcile their differences in respect of their political attachment in the elections, and reconcile and help to improve the various institutions that we see completely challenged? That's just the questions I want to pose to you. Maybe your response could also help the general public.
Thank you, Abel.
Can I just seek an opportunity based on your question to just chime in a little bit? That question is pivotal. and I also had it written in black and white, but in a different form, so that I don't ask it separately. Let me just.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Your question with your
that's good.
Your question, Abel.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. So my dimension is: what is your expectation of the new leadership? What are your high expectations? What are those high expectations? You may have many expectations of the new leadership, but what are those high expectations that you have? Maybe 1, 2, 3, if you want to, number them, quantify them. What are your expectations?
Right. Thank you. Let me be very blunt to tell you guys, it's too early for me personally to flag that all here. It's too early, and I want to reserve all comment on that. Like I shared with you earlier, that I'm in a process of decommissioning our team, and there are several things we want to look at that will provide quality information for us to address some of these things. So I want to suspend that other aspect of the question from Joe. What are my expectations? To be frank with you, I want to pause that. I don't want to go that route. Abel, your earlier question, we have a new bishop. if you listen to my comment on Saturday night, I said to everyone, it's now time to rally our genuine and our intentional about that. I underscore the word genuine. Genuine commitment and support to the bishop elect so that he can lead, provide the requisite leadership we need for this church. And we stand in support of that. Today, we had an opportunity to visit a few of our parishes to tell them thank you. And that's our message. Let's keep praying for our church and our bishop elect and all of our officials so that God can now them the wisdom to provide the right leadership that we need in our church. So on the issue of reconciliation, yes, we stand ready to support our bishop elect and to ensure that genuine reconciliation is in display in our church, and that's going to help us to move forward. So, Joe, I beg you, I'm sorry. I don't want to respond to that expectation. It's too early for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. But let me just come back to that question. I do understand exactly the angle you come from, but you did not dodge the question. You answered the question because Abel and I seemingly asked the same question. Abel question about reconciliation, about unity in the church reflects your expectations, of the new leadership. And you have just indicated that your key expectation is for the new leadership to embark on genuine reconciliation. That's what you look forward to. And that's why you'll be expecting the new leadership to initiate so that you too can join the process so that we can make reconciliation a possibility in our church. I think you practically answer my question. I'm not sure you defer the question. Okay. So yeah, but let me just
I didn't see I didn't understand your question from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand your question from that perspective, but what I would look forward to in response to that question is to give you or to share with you bullet points or what. It was from that angle that I was coming from. And I think that was not appropriate at this time for me to do that. You're right. Yeah,
I agree, Reverend.
But in any given situation, the leader is the one that leading will follow the leader.
Yeah, Reverend. Yeah, Reverend, I agree with you. Absolutely, you are 100% right. It's your right to decide when and how to present your expectations of the new leadership. But let me just add that in our church right now, there are hot stuff on the list. Abel mentioned our institutions, how they are all dying, the healthcare institutions, the different programs. In fact, we are a national church now. We've transitioned from the mission church to the national church, where we have 100% responsibility to operate our church. And so right now it is anybody's guess that after elections, even 1 hour after the elections, Lutherans all over the world in Liberia all have expectations of the new leadership. And some of those expectations are how we can bring everybody together and strategize collectively, work with the new leadership to promote development in the church, be it reconciliation, be it trauma healing, be it education, or whatever, infrastructure development, agriculture. Those are high on the agenda, the general agenda of all Lutherans. It's on their minds. They want to see a difference. So I think those are some of the expectations that we all have. Even as I said right now, my expectations are high, like other Lutherans, Right. So basically, I think we are all in on this one. And
so if Josiah, yes. Josiah, before you conclude, so that maybe we can go to the numbers, so at least we can give ample time for our viewers to call. I would just want to say something, if you permit me. Reverend, we had the opportunity to follow the process in the diaspora, and thanks to Brother Moses B. Cole from the ITV team. They did extremely well. And I think, and I think as we are here, the onset, they are also following, and they will also subsequently share the podcast, and Wady will say more of that on the thing. We also might be air live in Zambia, but these are issues that Wady will give more. So it's we're working on the platform to make it more palatable for you people. But my point here is when we start and watch you guys, especially you, Reverend, you were very motivational and very excited when you were giving your, if I should term it as conceding message or speech to the people. And I didn't sleep, and I was in my bed, and I said, wow, this Reverend is exceptional. Can you tell us, maybe in a few minutes, maybe 1 minute or less, what was the motivation behind that conceding or that conciliatory message? Did somebody force you to do it? Did it come out naturally? Did you see and then plausibility? I'm not saying possibility, but plausibility that you wouldn't have succeeded. What was the motivation?
Well, thank you, Jared. I was looking forward to this question anyway. The motivation for our decision is love. Love for God, love for our church, and love for humanity. I mean, we all been around in this church for some time now. Abel earlier said the conflict that arises when we go to elections. You guys were not there, but Abel, all of us were there.
Right.
I mean, that play was toxic. Abel, isn't that true? It was toxic. Right, toxic environment. And when
you are right, Reverend.
Okay, thank you, Abel. When I sat and listened to all the results, that it just dawned on me that this is your time. A time to show who your God is. And the first person I moved to was my wife. She was there with me all through, and I pulled her aside. I said, this is it. This is what we must do. She said to me, wow, I've been thinking about it myself. So it's the love of God. And the theme of our convention just summarized it. One spirit, one faith, one spirit, one hope. And to even go further, Jerry, even members of our team, when I left you guys, Abel, when I left you guys up the hill to come back after meeting you guys and Mulbah, Abel, by that time, we already made a decision, my wife and myself. And when we met our team, and they too have processed this. So everything just aligned. Not a single member in our team was like, no, I think we should still do that. Let's go, we can get it. And it's true. We are mobilized, we're going to get it. Because we did our mathematics. The mathematics we did, if we are going back, we're going to get it. But what good is it going to do to get something that will end up in the more chaos and confusion that you will spend, you laughing, Jared? You will spend your first term trying to reconcile people and you can't achieve anything. So that is the key motivation, the love of God, the love for this, our church, the love for humanity. And we are grateful. We were not coerced. Nobody on our team ever told us this is where we will go. We decided that. My wife and I decided when I consulted my wife, she said, bravo, let's go for it. And to my utmost surprise, I was shocked with the reaction of the convention. I was surprised. My wife myself was surprised. But we believe, one thing I learned from that, just before I can pause, is I always good to listen to God. It's always good to listen to God. Yeah. And the offer can be overwhelming. Thank you for asking that question. And special thanks to members of our team. Thank you.
Again, folks,
you are following my Lutheran Connection TV discussion. Today, we're in conversation with Reverend Mulbah F. Zayzay, one of the pastors of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. He also contested the bishopric election. That's the 2022 bishopric election. Reverend Zayzay is sharing with us some of his reflections on the election. So we ask you to stay tuned. We have more in store for you. Now we go to Willie to bring some comments and questions from our viewers online. Willie.
So quickly, we would just thank you very much, Brother Jokai. We would just quickly recognize few of our viewers. Today we have a jam-packed viewing list, but we would just try to go through some of them. Our brother Moses Cole from ITV, we want to say thank you very much and thank you for following. Brother.
Those guys did about you.
Absolutely.
By the way, we'll be bringing Moses Cole on the next time. I think folks is good to have him on. Maybe one of our shows.
Yeah, we definitely gonna do that. Our brother Newell Kennedy, we want to also say thank you very much. Our brother Jeff Moore. Jeff Moore is following us directly from Turkey, from Cyprus, to be specific. Jeff Moore, he's up at this time and he's following us. We want to say thank you very much for your commitment and your support. Our brother Jerome Jala, Sister Lita Gray, Sister Zimbo, the brother Ziambo Davis, Sis Salome Vakwana, Sis Catherine, our regular viewer, the Reverend Smokey Kokolo. They are all viewing us, and our brother Jerome Colley, and also our pastor, Pastor Wokolo Colley. He's viewing us. He's following us from GSA Road. So at this time, we are going to show you. We're going to bring forth our numbers. There you have it. We're gonna for today. Actually, we're gonna have the number steady on the screen. Okay, and if you want to participate, you can call us on. If you are in Liberia, you can call us on 0886 576 076. And if you are using the orange line, you can call us on 077 6579 187. And if you are calling us from out of Liberia, you can call us on WhatsApp. That's 410-344-3210. And also for comments, just go ahead and put your questions in the comment section and we will go ahead and share it. For comments for now, we have for question and comments, we have one point here from the Reverend Smokey Cockler. And this just to show to the question that I asked earlier. He said that all of the candidates preach a message of peace every time I listen to them, but the supporters were the ones who were emotionally charged, discussing issues and personalities. So thank you very much, Reverend Cockler. So far from our comment section, we don't have any question for now, and we're gonna go back to our brother Bukai.
Thank you so much, Brother Willie. Thank you, Reverend Cockler. Yeah, we all acknowledge the uptick.
Joe, I'm sorry. So, Willie, so if the calls come in, you can interrupt us.
Yes.
So that, Thank you, Big Joe.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can just pause and take the calls. That's important to hear from our viewers. Yeah. So I was responding to Reverend Cockler's comment. Reverend Cockler, we want to say thank you. He's one of our regular followers, viewers. We want to say thank you for that comment. Absolutely, we agree that the optics that we saw, prior, during, and after the elections, we saw that pastors always, try to demonstrate to us the flocks that they shepherd, that they were together, they were united. But on the contrary, you heard on many occasions, even many of the shepherds, in terms of the pastors, they talk about deception, division in the church. They are our shepherds. We can say no, we can prove them otherwise when they say that. In fact, I think one point, one instance was when the bishop organized a special reconciliatory meeting of the pastors. So it was not just about the laity in the church that were discussing issues. And and it's important for us to look at this from a collective perspective. That's why we're having this platform, always for us to come here and talk about the issues that affect us and the positive things we are doing just to enhance the growth in our church. So thank you, Pastor. Continue to follow us and comment. I just wanted to make a disclaimer, not necessarily a disclaimer, but to emphasize a point that Reverend Zayzay made, that I was making a mediation. I was doing a mediation prior to the election. That's 100% correct. I was one of the many Lutherans, both in Liberia and in the diaspora, who was actually engaged with the pastors, especially so those who were aspiring at the time. They were not even qualified as candidates. I thought that it was necessary for them to narrow the gap, to really narrow the list, maybe put up about 2 candidates so far. That's why I was doing that mediation, and I was doing it along with some other pastors, not just me. We had a team. Reverend Zayzay, I appreciate the fact that you acknowledged that, and I just wanted to further expand on it so our viewers can understand the angle you came from with that statement. But now I am relieved, and I feel accomplished, because the fact that the convention even passed a resolution that the pastors will be presenting, 2 candidates that people will vote on, it means that my initiative actually worked. Because that's why I was pushing. That's what I was pushing from the start of the election. That, hey guys, all of you don't necessarily have to go into the race. You look at your platform already. Our platforms, everything look the same, nothing different, absolutely. So that is why we are here today, to talk about some of these things. And I think it justifies the need for review, constitutional reform. That's why I support the question Jerry asked the pastor specifically, whether or not he supports constitutional reform, and the pastor accepted. That's quite good. That's correct.
Sorry to interrupt, Brother Jokai. Let us take this caller from Liberia. Hello, caller, your name, and please state your question, please.
Yes, my name is Jeff George Ford, and I call from Cyprus. That's why.
Go ahead.
Commend the host and the co-host and every other person on the platform tonight, and also to our Reverend Zayzay for turning up. I've been following the show for a while now, and even during the electoral process. And I understand there were efforts in getting candidates to appear on the platform, but it was at no avail. And we're grateful that you're here tonight to be able to share some of these reflective answers of these questions that will be posted. So quickly, I got 2 questions that came to mind while we're going through the conversation, and I just want to quickly go through them. So I understand that the Reverend backed off from the runoff. So I want to know, right, whether there were intent, or whether there were actually intentions to reach out to other candidates for support in terms of the runoff, and whether, because they did not use FIFO results, that was why you backed off from the runoff of the election. And secondly, right, as I followed the electoral process, there were some narrative of local Liberian Lutherans and diaspora Liberian Lutherans. Whether you supported those narratives, if not, why I did not hear specifically from you, Reverend, criticizing or coming against the comments that were being made, because we understand that these are things that will create hate among us as a church, and it's not really helpful for our growth and development.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the first name again of the caller?
The caller name is George Moore.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Moore. We actually did not refuse to show up during the campaign time. We were only observing the campaign guideline. That's why when we were invited, around the time we were invited, we were told that there were no campaign. We agree as a church there are no campaign activities. That's why we couldn't show up on this platform to share with you further what we have loved to do and why we were participating in the process. So you asked 2 questions as to whether we realize that we're going to lose the election or so. If you are listening to me earlier, we were not coerced by anyone. The vote we pour to most voters and our conventioners, some came to me and said we were surprised. We didn't know you could put that kind of vote. So we went into the race to make mark. And in the process of that first one, what we realized that we saw as a problem that will have exacerbated even more going further. And after considering our desire, our love for this church, we decided to concede to the then Reverend Padmore, who is not our bishop elite. If we have decided, yes, we want to go back for it, yes, we were going to. But what good is it going to do you and win an election that in your first term or 6 years, you will be doing reconciliation, and all the things you want to do, you can't do it. And that was a reality on the ground. And we felt that it was necessary to let go and allow, because we believe one of the things that my wife and myself, we concluded with at Chevrolet is that the Lutheran Church is bigger than any of us, and any of our ideas. In spite of our love and commitment for this church, we believe that the Lutheran Church is bigger than us. The Lutheran Church is bigger than elections in our church. And that's what we conceded to the Reverend G. Victor Palmer, who is now our bishop elect. On social media, most of us did not have control. If I understood your question, the second part of your question, those of our members who were in direct contact with, we made it point clear to them. This is the direction we're going. We are announcing to people what we want to do and what we're capable of doing. That was our message. And everywhere we went in this country, you can ask all the parishes we went to, individual we met. We never discuss another person. We never discuss another candidate. Our message was clear. And if you had the privilege of looking at our platform are very clear. What we saw as a solution, prospective solution to some of the problems we have, that's what we're able to address if you read our platform. So we regret that the way some of our members, our brothers and sisters, took on the social media, that is something that personally I did not have control of. Right. So I hope I responded to your question.
Is he still on with it or he's gone?
No, he left after the question. He left after the question.
Oh, he left after the question.
He left after the question.
He's following, but after the call, after the question, he left.
But he's following. I see. Okay, yeah, okay. I hope he's following. Yeah. So if I have a follow-up question, maybe he can say call back.
Right.
Yeah. So, Brother George, if you I believe you are listening to us and you are following. If you have a follow-up question, you can please ask. I had but when we go around, and I will make a comment to that.
Yeah, because I was in flight when the call came in, so let me just land on my thought. Reverend, thank you very much for the intervention, because those are I'm sure those are questions of concern to some of the viewers. The fact that the fellow asked them, but you know, in your response, you had a line that says that what good will do for you when you win elections and you have to spend all your time doing reconciliation. I was just looking at it from a logical perspective, and what do I mean by that? It was obvious that anyone who was going to win the election was definitely going to be faced with the challenge of reconciling the church, any of the candidates, and that happens to be Reverend Padmore. How do you think Reverend Padmore will react to your statement that you thought that it was just not necessary for you to challenge him in the runoff because you're going to be faced with the monumental challenge of reconciling the church and spending all of your time?
it's not only the monumental challenge of reconciling the church, but the damage that will have occurred, which will have a negative image on us as a church. Remember, I said this church is bigger than all of us. And like I said to you earlier, the driver of our decision was based on love for God, love for our church, and love for humanity.
Absolutely, Reverend. And let me just interject before I lose my thought.
Okay.
You are quite right. However, runoff is part of the electoral process. So no candidate, nobody in the church should hold somebody, should hate somebody or go against a candidate because they decided to go to the runoff. Is their right, the fact that they qualify to contest.
Precisely.
Yeah, so I'm not sure any of us will have had problem. In fact, it will have further reflected the degree of our maturity as a church, because to hold the first ballot and then hold the second ballot and then come up with a winner in the credible and peaceful way will have reflected the measure of our maturity. So the question will be, is that reason enough for you not to have contested the runoff, reason by means of your statement that it was not necessary to do that because you will be challenged by, reconciliation all the time of your.
No. That is not the reason. You asked earlier what was the driver, and I indicated that.
Right.
The driver of me conceding to the electoral process is a love for God, love for this church,
yes,
and love for humanity. And that's answer all.
Right.
That's answer all. So,
and I didn't want the viewers to get you wrong. I didn't want the viewers to get you wrong. I didn't want
you're right.
That's why, yes.
Right, you're right. And I was just making reference to the whole issue of reconciliation based on Abel earlier conversation on the historicity of our election that is usually compacted with a lot of confusion, with conflicts. Our ally based on that, right? So it's the love of God and the love for this church and the love for humanity. And we're grateful that together we made history in our church. And we don't regret, I don't regret my decision or my action to have taken that route. I know it will pay off well for all of us as a church.
It was for the love of God, the love of our church. There you have it from Reverend Mulbah, Zayzay.
And the love for humanity.
Direct, pointed, my question. And I will appreciate hardly were you to answer yes or no to the question. Your colleague in ministry, Reverend Orita Miller Davis, was suspended and subsequently barred from participating in the election. It was wrong to suspend her, yes or no?
Joe. Why will you do wrong and you are reprimanded for your wrong? You say that it was wrong.
That doesn't answer my question, Reverend.
You grew up in a home with our parents. When you did wrong,
it doesn't answer my question.
When you did wrong, they punish you. So the action of the church was right. The action of this church was right, was in the right move, was in the right direction. And I support the decision of this church.
She apologized. And she also
I know she did apologize. I know she met the committee. She went to the National Men's Fellowship. She pronounced herself guilty when she apologized. She met with the BMT. She pronounced herself guilty and apologized. But we all know, man, there are consequences to our actions. And
so Reverend, you will continue the trend of answering the question, but are you confirming that she admitted to guilt? Is that what you're confirming?
That is 100% correct in my presence. And you can quote me.
If she admitted to guilt, then why wasn't she
admitted to guilt? And I have the minutes of
why
that
wasn't she
meeting.
Reverend? That's my question. Why wasn't she forgiven? This is the church. She admitted to guilt. Why wasn't she forgiven? Jesus forgave all of us.
No, listen, this is my opinion.
Yeah,
not the Lutheran church. Because the Lutheran church has already made her decision.
Right.
I hope you understand that.
Right.
This is my personal opinion. My personal opinion is that, yes, she admitted that she was wrong. And she asked some of us to support her in that bid, which we did. But the church took a decision that, yes, you are apologize, but this is the action of what you did. Now, if I was the one, that would have been different in different contexts.
Okay. It wasn't you, but now it's Bishop-elect Padmo. What do you think Padmo should do? Padmo should lift the suspension before the suspension time is over? Do you
if you don't know, that we all know the working of our church, that's a resolution already passed by the convention. I am not saying it cannot be, but the Bishop-elect Padmo know what to do. I cannot speak on that, to be frank with you. That's a resolution.
If you were Padmo, I'm speaking. In terms of Reverend Zayzay being Padmo, what would you have done by now?
What would I have done by now? I will follow the resolution. The resolution say how many months? 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month? The resolution says 2 months, followed by a special section of counseling. So that should be
Reverend, do you know what
I come in. That should be something that Reverend David should submit to. In this church, we have history of pastors who have been disrobed, of disrespecting the office of the bishop. And you all here, you know that. We got history. But that's just suspension. We got pastors who have been suspended. It was that those their suspension do not go to executive council. You don't even hear about your executive council, only at the level of their parishes. But I understand why her issue went to executive council, because she was a candidate. That's why the issue went to executive council. But you see, in the practice of our church, we continue to make mistakes. Suspension, when you are suspended, you suspended. Executive council, the only issue that go to executive council as per our constitution is when a pastor is recommended for disrobement. And the reason why I'm making emphasis on it, because I was disrobed before, if you don't know that. Yeah, and the Constitution says a pastor who is recommended for disrobement, that person will have a hearing by the executive council. Even though in my case, I know most of you remember one Reverend Mulbah.
Yeah.
You remember Reverend Mulbah?
Yes,
That's what discouraged Reverend Mulbah from leaving our church.
I went to school. Reverend Mulbah,
all right. Reverend Mulbah and myself and Juma Fulate were in our case. We were never giving a day to executive council. If some of you remember in 2008 in LTI, I stood against the recommendation for the disrobement of Jerome Lively because I know that part of the Constitution was not satisfied. And we know the story. You know how that's what led to Jerome disrobement, because the bishop recommended the late bishop emeritus that Jerome Lively disrespected his office and that he was recommending his disrobement. But Jerome Lively did not have a day with the executive council. And those of you that are at the 2008 convention, I stood and I stood on the floor and I resisted that, even though it went on the floor and passed. And how Jerome Lively was disrobed. So we're just talking about suspension of somebody for 2 months. For me, our church, we are people of discipline. And if we are going to be the conscience of society, we should be that example. I believe I love Orita. Orita is my sister. We talk. She should submit to that. 2 months, but it's just by June. By June.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Reverend. I see that Joe attempting to corner you, but you always gotta do it.
All right, Jeff.
It's very interesting. But my question to you, Reverend, is that so now that she should follow the procedure, we agree because the church should be that conscious, that moral conscience for society. And we cannot tolerate all of those, disturbances in the church. But Reverend Zayzay, come on, she's your colleague. She apologized, as Josiah said, for the fact that you even confirmed that she admitted. Don't you think, at least if the penalty will have been something for her not to participate, it was sufficient? Must we go to the point of suspending her and denying her the right, to even cast a vote for somebody, even though she as an individual was not, actually going to contest? I don't know. I know you say suspension, so you want to say that she should not participate.
So in my personal view, right, I would allow for her to stay on. Most of you that grew up with Orita or have worked with her, you will know that she's a temperamental person. So I was not an LTR. People who were there, they tell you there was this emotional outburst. Sometimes you expect that to happen sometime. So if I had the opportunity, I would have said that, yes, let it go. Let's move on. Because that was a crucial moment. That was a crucial moment. And I understand the debate that she shouldn't have been denied. I understand that debate. But you see, this is the church. The church has its own way of responding to our individual actions. I was on the board, the BMTEA, that recommended to the office of the bishop on different actions. And I wish some of you were being there to see the debate that we're having. But again, one person, your decision will not override everybody, especially when you go to vote. The decision will be what we call majority carry, right? So when majority carry, you are there, you say, no, let's go to there. And majority carry, so what you will do? So nothing. So if what I also pick up from our exercise, as I saw as an opportunity to talk to my colleagues, Reverend Davis, if this is the action, 2 months may seem like 2 years. But if you are being able to wait for up to now, just submit and let it go. That is not going to change who you are or what you're supposed to be. We regret that it happened. I said this to many of our friends who quote unquote support us. I regret that. At least I expected that to happen. If it was me, I would let it go. We'll move on. Yeah, to allow everyone to have a taste of the season. Right. But unfortunately, I'm a lone voice. When majority carry the vote, it carries. Right. So those of you who were at the ABA, who were at the convention, when the convention voted, I decided to abstain. I abstained. I didn't vote. I didn't vote. I decided to abstain. I wish she would have been there. Us who were there having the opportunity to interact. But again, that has become part of the story of our church and the story for our sister, Reverend Davis. It's something that we all need to reflect on and learn from moving forward, how to deal with that. Do we want to have something in our future constitution for if things that they should happen, how to deal with that? So that's something that we need to reflect on in the future as we move forward. But I certainly regret that this happened to her. Not only to her, but to other lay people who were equally suspended. Even my women president was suspended. I mean, I was shocked. My women president. And I asked her what happened. She said, I don't know. I said, but how come? I know you to be this person. Why? Your name is surfacing here. Yeah. But people, and sometimes there are some level that you may not understand people the way to respond to issues that come to them. And that was just a situation that happened at LTR that led to Reverend David emotional outburst. And these are things that can happen to anybody. You can blow some top, and especially for her as a female. You know, I would love for her to continue in the process because she invested. All of us invested. We invested. She spent huge money, like all of us. So all the things became just a blow off. She couldn't be a part. All the investment she made, it just sad. It just sad. But again, this is our church. This is our church. One spirit, one faith, one spirit, one hope. The LCL. We gotta move on. We gotta turn the new page to move on. Yeah, we gotta turn the new page to move on.
Reverend, sorry, Reverend, I'm glad again. It may sound like a ringing bell or so, but I'm glad that you are here today, and I want to say it for the I want to just make this clear that prior to the memorandum that prevented candidates from going on social media or carrying on campaigns. You were one of those. Okay. The other candidates would no, not candidate. I'm so sorry. The other pastors would come and we will also state how we got in touch with them as well. But you were one of those who got in touch with us. You agreed until the last moment, the very last moment, when you told us on Sunday morning that it's not Saturday morning, in fact, that it was not possible for you to appear on Sunday. And Reverend, I'm very much glad. And speaking on Reverend Davis issues, you know, I always tell people I'm not a theologian, okay, but I know that John 8:32 says that we should know the truth, and the truth will set us free. Okay, and the fact that, and I'm just speaking back from my two colleagues, the fact that Reverend Davis had admitted, to her shortcomings, and also she wrote, and she went through all of the processes. I read her letter. I would say 4 pages, even though it was 3 in her signature page. So I just consider it 4 pages. It was still taken to a convention, and a convention, voted. But in the general chat room, my Lutheran Connections chat room, I saw a post yesterday from Reverend P. And Reverend P, one of your colleagues, one of our pastors, Reverend P, and he was
one of our senior pastors.
One of our senior pastors. Yes, I should qualify. One of our senior pastors of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. He raised the point of reconciliation. Okay, he raised the point of reconciliation, and he called on everyone to join in, and that is also an affirmation of like your statement you made when you were, yielding to Reverend Patmo, the bishop elect. So my question is, should we go back to like some of our other laities and pastors who might have felt that they've been like, not been treated right, like you cited the issue of Reverend Labely. And I also know that there are some other pastors, like for example, Reverend Amadou Salih. Reverend Amadou Salih currently is not on the list. Okay. What is your take on going back? Okay, because some people are calling for this, that we should go back to all of these people and give them the opportunity to come back on board. That's just a part of my question when it comes to reconciliation. Then the second part is, we are not discussing the women, issue at LTI, because my Lutheran Connection have tried every ways to get in touch with Sis Annie and the team from Sis Yama. They are yet to agree to appear. We want to make that clear. Okay. But the fact that those suspended, like you mentioned, your president, the ladies that were suspended, they all came from Sis Annie's side. Do you see that as a genuine investigation? They all came from one end. All of those were suspended.
Well, Willow, I don't know whether you have the facts on that.
Yeah.
Because you need to read all of the reports from the committee that was set. Because as far as I know, there are some women who were suspended who were not on either side, like for the election committee members. So they were not there. So I think you need, like you're saying, I think you should continue with your efforts in ensuring that Yama and Annie can come, so that they can provide good information on what really transpired and stuff like that. Like I said again, that was just the situation up there was just unfortunate, and that is something that as Lutheran we need to learn from for the future, how to curtail or mitigate that, to prevent that from happening. As a church, we should remember that we are the church wherever we find ourselves, especially when we gather. Right. So you talk about Amadou Salif. I just want to speak to that briefly. Amadou Salif wrote a letter of apology to this church, to us as a church, and I think is pending the church's response to Amadou Salif, in terms of what transpired, that he cut off and stuff like that. The church, I'm sure the incoming bishop-elect, that should be something that he should be getting on. And to also talk about some of our colleagues who are in the diaspora, that is something I believe when we review our constitution, we want to talk more about that. That is something I want to talk about, that. What become a pastor who have the opportunity to migrate to the diaspora. Those are things that we want to talk about in our constitution. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and quickly, brother Joka is going to come in. It's not really like a back and forth, but if the time permits, or I do have the list in the investigation committee. I have that record of those who were investigated and those that were suspended. I just want to clarify that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually did my investigation. I have the list, and I'm gonna share at some point in the program.
Oh, okay. But what I do know, to the best of my knowledge, is that not all of those suspended were those women who were supporting Annie.
Because I'm not talking about election commission members. I'm not talking about the election committee members. Okay. I'm talking about according to the investigation committee, those actors that were investigated. Oh, yeah. Those actors that were investigated. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I must say I'm not read that report here myself, but I want to believe that too. Yeah.
That's very good, Willie, and thanks for the clarification. It's good that you did due diligence on that one, and that you have the list. You are speaking strictly from the records that you have. Reverend raised the issue of Orita Miller Davis, Reverend Orita Miller Davis suspension, because it's critical, it's very crucial. People have been disrupted before in the church. Laity have been suspended before in the church. But this one has to do with somebody who was contesting in the bishopric election. And I don't know if we have any history. I don't know if we have any history about that in the church. I don't know if she's the first or she's not the first person who was barred from participating in the bishopric election. I'm still to do my research to find out as to whether, and since you are here, you're also an important resource. Maybe you could acknowledge that at some point. But it's crucial because she was a candidate qualified by the elections committee to contest the election. That was crucial. And the success of reconciliation in the church will depend on how the Reverend Orita Miller Davis issue is handled. Because it's not just Reverend Davis. Reverend Davis is in the picture, but there are so many. Okay, we have a call. Let's take.
Yeah, we have a caller on the phone. Go ahead, tell us your name, and you can make your comment or your question, please.
Yes, this is Couple City from Partners Faith Parish. Yeah. Go. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Sis Couple. Go ahead. We're listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, Reverend, I want to say thank you for the topic on discussion. But my attention,
thank you, Couple.
What you just said concerning the suspension of the deity. If you look at those that were suspended from the end of the deity, they are all Annie supporters. When it comes to the election commission, the chair was suspended because the way in which the election was handled. So after started, I came from Annie end, we were the actors. And on the other end, they were witnesses. You cannot have two forces going to election, then you lay a complaint, then you pick your own witness, and those that you pick are all from Yama end as witnesses. Then we from any end, then you consider us as actors. I was even surprised you talk about a women president. Yes, Germany is someone who doesn't talk. But I was surprised that they suspended Germany on what they said that Germany was suspended. Germany did not say a word at LTI. Probably people were just there to handpick people. Once they see you around Annie, then they handpick you and say, yeah, you are part of it. Yes, you are part of this. I think there is a church. We are all preaching reconciliation. For me, I don't want the current bishop to let the head down or to say he wants to do that. I want to set up an independent investigation committee that will go through the investigation. Because even out here, I will never give one due process. I will never investigate that. I wrote my communication to them, and they did not respond to me. And the team how they can call it, funny. I was suspended. So on what they said they be suspended when you did not investigate me. So these are issues. If we speak in reconciliation, we should express the issue, we should discuss the root cause of the issues, and then we preach the reconciliation. But you can have someone hurt, you can have someone repetition tarnished, then you want to bury it, then we'll be preaching reconciliation. It will not work that way. So for me, I just want to appeal to our bishop, appeal to everybody. Let us go through the matter, let the matter be discussed, and let know what the problem came from. What's the root cause of the problem? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Sis Kopo. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Sis Kopo, thank you. I hope you are still following. My request to you is that we want to bring a team on here to discuss that issue before the suspension is lifted, because this is crucial to genuine reconciliation in the church. Orita Davis is just one person. And because of Paul, there are so many women who are currently dissatisfied in the church. And until you can bring those people on board so they can have voices in the decisions that affect the church, you are not going to have genuine reconciliation. So, Reverend, that brings me to the point I was trying to make before we took the call. Reverend Davis' issue is critical because she was a candidate and she was barred from participating in the election. I thought that we would go by the scripture. I'm not a biblical.
I'm not a theologian. I always say that.
A theologian. I wanted to say,
you gotta know the word.
A biblical scholar or a theologian, but there is a particular scripture. I don't know the reference. Reverend, please forgive me. That says, he who that is without sin should cast the first stone. Yes. And that gives us the picture of who we are. We are all sinners before God, and that's why God forgives us every day. And if God does that for us, giving all of our iniquities, then why we can find it in our hearts to forgive each other, to forgive our friends, our fellow human beings, that we are all the same. So especially when they acknowledge, where acknowledgement takes place, acknowledgement of sin is that somebody wants to repent and they need help to repent. And so I was discussing from that perspective that Reverend David did all she could do. She went to you, she went to other colleagues, she asked them to apologize on her behalf, and she to apologize. She wrote. I think she just did too much. Whatever had happened, I think it was just enough for her to be forgiven. But the fact that you stand on the side of the law, which should also be appreciated, because when we make the laws for ourselves. This is just a religious setting. That's why we're placing emphasis. So I think I will close on that question, which was one of the critical issues that we had to discuss, because going forward, reconciliation is going to be that a thing that will put us on the trajectory. Abel, you are back. You wanted to ask a question. I think we should take Abel's question, and after that, we can wrap up. We can do a round, and then we close. Do you still want to ask your questions?
Yeah, Joe. I don't know if the Reverend have commented on this. It has to do with this diaspora Lutheran and Liberian Lutheran factor. A friend of mine called me up from the U.S. and said, "What is going on with the LCL and even Liberia?" He said, "Have we committed a crime to move here in the U.S. to work and support candidate institutions by own? Have we committed a crime?" That's a big issue. What is about the discussions? He said, "This is not our home. We are only here trying to make ends meet, trying to catch up, to contribute to the social economic development of our country. What is said that whenever it comes to occupying position or working within our country, there's so much division. It's another as you're discussing these big controversies around us. I mean, this may really make us to be disappointed in our own institution. And that's the reasons we are here doing everything we can to make sure that the SU and Liberia large become vibrant.
That's right. So
really, we have heard all of these kinds of discussions about diaspora Lutheran not coming to occupy bishopric elections within the SU. And this is a very big issue, and even tied around the issue of reconciliation. So what do you really have to say about this, Reverend Zayzay? Because, I mean, the church, I think it should be a church of inclusion. Precisely. So my question is, what do you have to say about this, about all of these controversies?
You know, I thank you, Abel. You are raising the issue. I'm smiling because I also have one of our colleagues who has just said the same word to me. Is it a crime to is it a crime to be here that we can't be over there, you know? Yeah,
Reverend,
I responded earlier.
Reverend, I'm so sorry to just jump in, please. Just one thing. I just want to say one thing. It has to do with the same thing too, right? I just also want to affirm that a Baptist prelate, you all went to school together at GST. He's in Des Moines, Iowa. We spoke about this too. He called me and he followed some of the posts on Facebook. He called me about this too. He said, "What's going on, my man? What's going on?" You know, he says something similar to that. But quickly, I want to say this. If you remember in 2008 during the campaign, when the late Senator John McCain and President Barack Obama were running, on the campaign trail, a lady, she made a remark. She said, "He's not an American. He is a terrorist. He's an Islamic man. He's not an American. Why should he be in the race? Why should he contest?" And guess what? The late Senator John McCain was very quick and took the microphone from her and rebuked her. You know what he told her? He said, "This man is a decent man. He's an American. It's just that he and I have two different political ideas." So the question that so it just put me back to the question that Brother George asked. Okay, we did not hear candidates speak directly, even if they saw it or not. I know, I'm not gonna say it like everyone saw it, but I know candidates saw it. But the candidates did not come up to say we as Liberian Lutherans shouldn't be doing this. So not to all of the other people now because they're going to be coming, but to you specifically, why you did not take the opportunity at the time. You took the opportunity to bring the church to peace and said you cannot go against, and everyone, we all applaud you for that. But at that time of crisis, none of the candidates, including you, spoke against we on the ground and you up there. And I'll be more specific, Brother Thomas Cato, you are one of those driving that narrative. So thank you very much, Reverend.
No, thank you, Willie. Thank you. I think I spoke on it earlier, and I will say come back to that. The Abel earlier I said the issue about diaspora members having a right base in our church. That's a constitutional issue that we need to address. That is a constitutional issue that we need to address. And I just said that good enough that we all are having this conversation that in the future, we're going to review our constitution. That is something we need to ensure in our constitution to clearly define the role of our diaspora brothers and sisters when it comes to their membership or their inclusion into the church life. Like today, we got Aliyah. We really want to thank God for Aliyah. We see the tremendous support that you're providing for us here. That is a clear indication that we need to go that route, you know. And Willie, it's unfortunate that during electionary time, people get more sentimental and respond to different activities. But those who follow me, like I said earlier, places we went, and I know of all five of us, none of us were talking about the person coming from America, the person coming from the no. That was never part of our messages. I know I can speak for that on behalf of the 5 candidates at the time. Nobody said that. We all saw my brother, Reverend Moses B. Goba, as part of us. Even though at the 2017, at the last convention, the issue about his status was raised, and that was settled. Because that was the only issue people were having about his status, and that was settled. And this going convention, the issue about Alexander Sumo's status were also considered not in active service. And the bishop responded to that. And I think what I also deduced from that conversation is that I think Alexander Sumo should have written the office of the bishop registering his status, and that he was going to inform the BNTA that you're going to be for that. Right. But generally, the issue about our relationship with diaspora Lutheran, because this is just America. We're talking about Australia. We're talking about Germany. So this thing need to be clearly, defined in our Ugandan law that will protect all of us. So it's not going to be like, oh, there are certain people who are benefiting and certain people who are not benefiting. It should cover all of us. And we hope in the not too long distant future, this thing can be settled, or else it's going to be a lot of division. Is even going to discourage those of you that are in the US? How will you want to contribute your effort and quota to Aliyah when you don't have a voice in what is happening on the ground here? It makes no sense, right? You want to have a voice in what is happening on the ground. They say you play, you put your money. I play you what? You talk.
Your mouth is, yeah.
Yeah, that play you talk. So we hope that this issue can be clearly defined and resolved in the not too distant future when we have a organic law, a constitution that will address some of these issues. These are just things that I believe that can be resolved very easily among ourselves. Yeah, right. Because when I come to the US, I come to the Jockey, who will people see me? Or I go to Willie.
I told you.
Please tell me how soon you're coming this time.
Let me know when
you're not going to your Maryland. You're coming to Connecticut.
Right. The other day we made each other. I was ready.
Don't bring that up because you owe me apologies.
Connecticut does not have a direct flight from Liberia. Connecticut does not have a direct flight from Liberia.
Look at that.
It's me, Atlanta. You got a direct flight.
I got JFK.
I can lay in New York.
I'm 1 hour away from JFK, so I'm much better from JFK.
Yeah, that's a hustle. New York got too many traffic. That's a hustle, Reverend. The first stop is Atlanta.
Reverend, I see the guys loving. I see the guys loving so that they can host you. But no problem. If the competition is so high, just take your vehicle. Take your vehicle and drive across.
That's right. That's right, Jerry.
Jerry, that is Africa. That's not America.
I love that, Jerry. You got it right. We come over to Freetown.
Yeah.
Okay, Reverend, just one more thing for me.
Yeah.
Just one more, and then I'm done, and then I think we'll wrap up. I think this session was very fascinating, and a lot of information have been put out there and clarity. But just one thing, in the spirit of reconciliation, we're moving forward. I saw the manifesto. Everything's similar.
Yeah.
All of the candidates.
Yeah.
So I guess that the bishop-elect may be thinking of putting you on board. I know we don't have deputy bishop, but if they give you the opportunity, man, tell me which office you want to hold. Don't just step on somebody's toes, BA or SG or where.
Jerry, I don't want to respond. I'm cool in my parish, Millsboro. So the day you come to Moravia, I'll carry you across the bank and we'll eat some nice crawfish. Even you gotta get ready, I'll be inviting you very soon. So we can eat some nice. We can work. We can support our administration, whatever we are. We did it before with the Jensen, with the Harrises. We can do it again. Right. We don't have to be. Let me tell you, Jerry, we got to create an opportunity for other people. Right. We got to create an opportunity. That's what you guys doing here. Look at the huge platform you created, and you're talking about expanding it. That's an opportunity you're providing for other people, right? Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we should be thinking about doing. This is what we're talking about. This is the Lutheran. This is the new Lutheran church. We're talking about what you guys are doing. Yeah. Thank you. I must applaud you guys. This is it. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to close this show today. I think Reverend has just made it right. I think he just made his parting comments.
This is great.
And let me confess that my takeaway from this show today is the fact that Reverend emphasized the need for constitutional reform to accommodate, all of the policies that will help to improve the leadership and governance of the church, especially administrative governance of the church. I think that is quite important. And I'm not sure other candidates, others who participated in the election and the clergy of our church will disagree. I think we are on board. So, Rabbi, on behalf of my Lutheran Connection TV, we want to say thank you so much for the insights. Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you.
I think a lot of our viewers, found it very interesting, very rewarding. Please be on the lookout for our invitation. Anytime we will invite you to come to discuss, other issues related to different aspects of the workings of our church. This is Lutheran Connections TV. We discuss all things Lutheran, and we are committed to that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. Until we meet you next Sunday, this has been Harry Willie Abel Production. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we can sign out, we just want to inform everyone and say thank you again to Reverend. But we want to inform everyone that this is going to be a series like we announced on social media. We are working very, very hard that next Sunday we are going to have our bishop-elect is going to be appearing next Sunday. And possibly he's going to be appearing alongside one of our most senior pastors in the Lutheran Church in Liberia, the Reverend P. is going to be appearing. He's one of my fathers as well. He's going to be appearing. And also after that, we have the Reverend Moses B. Goba. He's going to be appearing. We are yet to get words from our two mothers. They will be giving us their information very, very shortly. But we are yet to get words from Reverend Janice Gono and Reverend Mother Orita Miller Davis. We are yet to get words from them. But we are so excited that today we can have with us our pastor. And I can tell anyone for a fact, and the person who challenged me, that I do agree. If no one ever checks on me, maybe the election had him so busy, but every other day, I don't want to lie and say every day, but every other day, Reverend Mulbah says it will send me a text. Hey, man. All right. How you doing?
All right. Jockey, I'll be sending you a text too. Jockey and Jerry, I'll be sending you a text. I'll be sending you a text. I will be checking on you.
Reverend, that was smart. That was smart.
I will be checking on you. I will be checking on you.